Hey everyone, Supconnect Live, happy to be here. Good afternoon, evening, maybe Friday morning, wherever you are, but really thrilled to be with you. A little later than usual, so sorry those of you in Europe who often join us, but thrilled to have you with us. This is every Thursday, live, but if you miss it or your friends do, or you can't watch the whole thing, it does get recorded right away and goes onto IGTV on Supconnect. And then it also lands on a couple of YouTube channels, both Supconnect's and mine, KT Outside. So please let people know if they missed it to come and join us. We also have a Facebook page to follow up because we often talk about things that might require a link or pictures or video. So fun place, please join us there. Hashtag Supconnect Live. And today we're going to be talking with a favorite of mine, and we could interview her any time of the year, but it happens to be Mother's Day week. And she is one of the most impressive women in SUP racing who has kept with it this decade as she's gone through a lot of changes in her life and now has two beautiful small children, but has done so much around that and with that. And so while we'll be talking about her many accomplishments and all the different things she does and find about her kind of SUP story, we definitely will have that woven in with her life with kids and with husband and how that all works. And I know a lot of you out there have family and developed this passion for stand-up or whatever it is outdoors. And how do you make that all work? So without further ado, Lina, I saw you there. Lina Augaitis Dye is joining us from Canada. Lina is originally from Ontario, Canada, but has lived, I think, in British Columbia for quite a while. There she is. Howdy, howdy. Sorry about the slight delay. I had my technical difficulties on this end.
No worries.
My husband's having people over for the first time since this whole pandemic for his, I think they've been meeting for 15 years. It's a monthly poker group, but they haven't met in over a year. So I had to rearrange myself, and I was in a back room and, well, it just didn't work. But here we are. And thank you so much for joining us because you have a very, very busy life, but you have managed to make it all work. And I mentioned already that it's Mother's Day week, I'm going to call it. So part of the theme, but you don't need that to be to fill a full interview because you've had such an active outdoor life, stand-up paddle life, and so many accomplishments. So let's back up a little bit before we get to the last 10 years and kids and everything. You were an amazing athlete. I don't know if you remember the first time I met you, but I was up in Canada and went to my first, actually, sadly only, even though it's a great race, Calavita Classic. And I think it was one of your early races. And you were, I believe, the top 3 overall, and you had just crossed over maybe from outrigger. But what's your background? Were you in other sports?
Yeah, I do remember. What's funny is I now live right where on the lake where Kalamalka Classic.
Oh, is that where Coldstream is?
That's where
Oh,
Coldstream
that's
is.
awesome.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
So my background, really, I was a gymnast growing up, national
gymnast.
level gymnast, and then when I went away to university, I kind of was like trying to find the sport, the one. And I tried everything. I tried everything from rowing to pole vault to
Wow.
rugby to wrestling. And I kind of just kept going, and then I eventually signed up for a half marathon run, and I ended up third female overall. And I was like, oh, running, long distance running, who knew? So I kind of then pursued a little bit triathlon and got into marathon running a little bit. And through all of that, it was really hard for me to train on the road or in a pool. And I started meeting climbers and backcountry skiers, and I kind of found the sport of adventure racing. And that really just it really was my first, like, I just love it. Like, I would still do it if I could. It just doesn't really fit with my life. But adventure racing, for people who don't know, is mountain biking or some sort of biking, trail running usually, some sort of paddling, all encompassed with navigation, orienteering, and often in adventure races you're in teams of 4. And sometimes there's rappelling and rock climbing and sailing and a lot of different things that happen. And the races are anywhere from a couple hours to 10 days straight, so it just kind of depends. And kind of
Wow.
where I just really fell in love with just the outdoors and everything outside.
Yeah,
And
I've seen some of those. They are amazing. And that speaks to just being an overall athlete. And you're just, I mean, that adventure racing, the perseverance that that takes, the, mind and body, it's a whole package thing.
yeah,
Yeah, gosh, I think I
yeah,
knew that and forgotten because that's wow. Very, very impressed that you're an
yeah,
adventure racer. And do remember, seasons of life, you might get back to it. I've watched those on TV,
yeah,
all different ages of people
yes.
in it. So
Yes,
maybe we'll see you in that.
it's not gone forever, I don't think, but for
Yes.
now on pause.
But
Um,
we're thrilled to have you in paddling.
yeah,
So was that your first kind of, you said swimming and triathlons, and
and
what drew you to
I guess
water?
adventure
Yeah.
racing is what. So with adventure racing, I started surf skiing and kayaking, and that
Mm.
actually is the water sport that happened to be my forte in adventure racing. And so I started kind of pursuing that aspect. But for some reason, surf skiing, I just couldn't pin down the technique. Like I was strong, but I was really failing at the like precise technique of it. And it's really from that world that where I was living in Vancouver, they would do these Tuesday night races. And eventually, when stand up really was not big in Canada, but just a little bit, it really piqued my interest because it was something new, and I tend to swap sports a lot. And so I started stand up paddleboarding in these little Tuesday night races instead of kayaking, and I started doing it more and more and more. And actually, the race that we met at was my first stand up paddleboard race in 2010.
Wow.
Um, and and then that's kind of where it all began. And for me, it was doing that race. And there was an endurance athlete that I highly regard and is an inspiration to me. And I managed to beat her in the stand-up paddleboard race. And I was like, oh, I must be good at this because she is so strong in everything else that I race her against. And she was still strong, but it kind of made me feel that there was something special about the sport. And just going to that race, and you could already when it was so young in Canada, feel that amazing community feel that we get with stand-up paddleboarding all over the
Yeah.
world. And it's still, we still get it, and it's so special. And it's kind of
Well,
that combination of talent and community and
oh my
something new
gosh,
and
that's
exciting.
yeah, so beautiful. And that was a wonderful 2 day event that
Yeah,
had it all, had community. I think they crowned you king and queen.
yeah,
There was the
yeah,
across the lake, which
yeah,
was just jaw-droppingly beautiful. There were
yeah,
little sprint races. There was another technical race. There was so much fun,
yeah,
and so many fun different challenges. And but I just remember, yeah, like learning that you had just started. But you're adventurous in life too. I believe you went off to China, didn't you, from there?
did. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I just found stand-up paddleboarding and then decided we knew we wanted a family eventually. And so I was a new teacher, and I kind of thought a cool way to travel for a year would be to teach somewhere else. China is what happened. It was definitely an adventure. uh, and actually, when we were in China, it was really cool because I had just connected with Starboard North America right before we had left. And while we were in China, we went to Thailand
Hmm.
and connected with
Sven and the whole
yeah,
team
like
there.
people
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
they let I guess they gave or we bought two inflatable stand-up paddle boards and ended up being part of a group crossing from Koh Lanta to Phi Island or something like that. I can't really remember. Anyway, we did a crossing and it was really amazing and it was very special. And then we had these inflatable stand-up paddle boards that we then paddled in China and kind of all over there, and it was still so new. But anyways, yeah, so China was definitely an exciting year, and then coming back, I just hadn't lost the passion of stand-up paddleboarding, so kind of got right in there and wanted to test it out again.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic and lucky for us, even though you have jumped around and I know you do a lot of other sports, but I'm so glad you have stuck with stand-up paddling because you've been a really strong female lead and a mainstay, and you've had all kinds of accomplishments. And probably the middle of this decade is where you had the most, wins and such. So let's talk
Yeah,
about some of those because they've been wide ranging. Like seeing you the first time, think of you as just this strong endurance. You know, you've done adventure paddling, endurance athlete, but you've won sprints and you've run technical and you've battled the paddle, which is through
Yeah.
the waves. Which again, another thing I really admire about you is a lot of the top pro women have lived a life of all water all
Yeah.
the time, and you've come from other sports. And one of the really challenging things I think is for non-surfers in our sport because
Yes.
there's a lot of bumpy water,
Yeah.
even if it's not the ocean in different
Yeah.
places. But you've been down here actually and stayed
Yeah.
in my neighborhood with
Yeah.
the lovely Housen family,
My family.
and really focused in on that and really like learned
Yeah.
how to surf, which I think is amazing. So talk about kind of that 2014 to 16 period where you
Yeah.
had some
Um,
amazing.
it was, it was such a special time in my life. Again, knowing that at some, I was getting older. I was in my mid 30s. And so I knew I wanted a family, I had a husband. It was definitely on my mind. But I had this feeling with the sport, and it was just so special to have that time where I, was able to leave a teaching job that I actually was, it was an amazing teaching job. It was really hard to leave, but I knew I couldn't, well, it was obvious I couldn't teach and travel the world and race. And so many people kind of, it just all really aligned with SIC at that time, backing me up and Werner Paddles and just Andrew, my husband, and communities like the Housens. And it was kind of, yeah, it was just so mind-blowingly special. And putting myself, you're right, surfing is still scares me. Even little waves scare me. Like freaked out by waves. But what an amazing way to challenge yourself and learn about yourself, to put yourself in those positions that literally people who have been with me, I freeze and cry, think I'm gonna die. But they also had put so much trust in me that I could get through it and help me. And I've had so many people like Ian Cairns take
Yeah.
time to really see that I could do it, and having all those people surround me and the time to learn the necessary skills and create that confidence. And I love and hate still downwind races because they're races that I are so hard for me to win, right? Because I have so little time to practice in those kind of waters, but yet force me to get out there and figure it out. So it's such a nice thing to do things like when I did Molokai to Oahu. I would have loved to win, but it was more about just putting myself in a situation that really freaked me out, and kind of learn how to get through it. And in 2014, it was nice because I did that where I was able to sign up to many races around the world that offered that opportunity to learn and grow in all those different conditions. So I think I really was able to end with something like Salt Creek, with Ian Cairns helping me, with SIC backing me up, and just being in that environment a lot, that it just kind of all came together for me. No point still would I ever choose to go and set up paddleboard at Salt Creek
Yeah.
in those conditions. But when it's a race, and I don't know, it's amazing what you can do, and it's mind body community really is
Yeah.
how it all works. And it's the same as a mother, like it's kind of mind body community, right? You kind of need all
Yeah.
three.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
taught me.
Jamie Donnelly is watching and she said, I remember Lina working with Ian and she said Salt Creek with a lot of exclamation points because I
Yeah.
know she was out there with you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that with very mixed feelings also, as some people just, boy, love that because it had
Loved
such
it.
great
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even take my race board in the open. I took a big, large surfboard,
Yeah.
and I surf, and
Yeah.
I'm fairly comfortable with waves, but it's still, the mother side of me actually was
Yeah.
very concerned about that location and
Yeah.
people getting hurt and such. But what an amazing experience, and I love your stories of challenge and being willing to challenge yourself, even in but how great to have community around us that help us do that. So again, even though like you were accomplishments, there are a lot of wins you had, like top of your game, 2000 through 14 through
Yeah.
16. I don't want to downplay at all the fact that you have continued to compete between babies.
Yeah.
I have, Carolina Cup, you were nursing. You did the Yukon, which we'll talk about in a second, and you were pumping, you were breastfeeding. I mean, the stuff that you have done is just mind-boggling and such an inspiration to so many of us, with or without the babies, but the baby part and continuing to do that. And you've come very close. I mean, I watched a race um, where you were leading almost the whole time and everybody was drafting off of you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know how much that gets talked about in terms of like strategy and because,
What not to
people,
do?
well,
Um,
kind of only in that you exhausted yourself by pulling everyone the whole way. And
yeah.
then some people passed you at the end, which,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a constant conversation about, but strategy is strategy. And you and I think, love the pure paddling races. Like,
We do,
just,
and I guess for me too, coming to that, I guess, yeah, I love the being my own being when I paddle. So I find it,
mhm,
I do find it really hard to draft because you're then following someone else's style or needs, and
mhm,
it like irks me. But what's so funny is I can't. So I've taught a lot of outdoor education as a teacher as well, and whatever, or just when we go to hikes with a class, I cannot be last. I cannot be the last teacher. Like, even though I'm the teacher and I'm supposed to be last, I have to have one person behind me, closely behind me, and I'm like, I just can't. Like, have to be in front. That's so funny.
I think that's a sign of a champion, and that's
Yeah,
that inherent drive. Certainly, I'm sure has helped you get very far. But that, yeah, it is interesting that we all have our own, and we're still stand up paddle's young, and rules are different in different races, and they're still
yeah,
figuring things out, and rules like drafting change depending where you are and all. But yeah,
yeah,
definitely one of those skills. Same with the downwinding and the skills and such that we expect you to have all of. So, you did have I mean, again, the age thing, I think of everybody who's in the pro, it's almost ageless. I mean, there's such a span of ages, isn't there? From like 18 to 45. We have women who could be in the top 10 of a rate, or 14 to 25, 45. Such a range. So amazing what you've done. But now that you're, having babies and still going back and still being right there at the top.
yeah. It's funny because it does. I really love being a mother, and I love being with my kids, and I love really doing family things. Like, it's just, I, I really, truly inside me just love it, and I really enjoyed, I guess, the adventure, and I guess I like challenge. I don't need comfort in life, and so I just always really, enjoyed trying to figure out how you take your own baby, you know, 6 month old or 1 year old by yourself on a plane to a race with a board and a paddle and hotels and taxis. And it's like the most stress. It's, I love hate for sure. Like, it's stressful and I hate it, but I also crave it and just totally love it. And I guess it's just, yeah, that added challenge and adventure, right?
Hmm.
And it fires me up, and I think that's part of why it has helped me be successful with kids. And we don't, unfortunately for Andrew and I, we don't have family anywhere close to us, like not one single bit of extended
Oh.
nothing. um, and so it's been, that is the challenge for us. And he has to work, and what's funny with the whole under two, it was cheaper for me to bring my baby with me to a race, than
Hmm.
try and find, a nanny, or bring everybody, or any of, or send a parent over from the UK. All, it was just easier for me to go and travel with my kid. And I don't know, I guess for some part of me too, it just made me feel like it taught them things, or they sucking, they
Yeah.
absorbed. I remember going to Japan with Ista, with Team Sonova, and we had been to Thailand and Hong Kong and Japan, and I think maybe like 20 different people held her while I was racing, and to me, I don't know if that means anything, but I don't know. It could be cool.
No, it does. I think you are teaching your kids just an
Yeah.
amazing, what
Um,
amazing gift, the lifestyle they've been given. And if you don't follow, Lina, The cutest pictures. Oh my gosh, the tiny little bikes they were riding, like they were doing mountain biking
Yeah.
from little on the snow in the winter on these little I mean, you get them up and going super early. And I do think, again, you never know with babies how much they actually absorb, but that whole being using community and having them with you
Yeah.
has been amazing, and we've loved having them. And good for Sonova for supporting you with you, you know, because
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
interesting quandary in women and athletes. And I know we've briefly touched on it before, you and I, the you get flack. And I don't know if it's for me, I see it's more women than anything else that will give you a hard time about choices that you're making,
Yes.
doing exercise when you're pregnant. And I'm, if it's okay, going to share some pictures that you definitely were paddling and biking and doing things, you know, when you were pregnant, but you're very confident in what you're doing. But the naysayers, you know, it's just
Yeah.
unfortunate that people make judgments. I wish we could let people, you know, do
Yeah.
parenting is hard enough,
Yeah.
having three grown children like
Yeah.
your age. We do the best we can, and you make the choices that are right for your family at that time as best you can. And that's not the same for everybody.
I think you just totally nailed it, and I think that's what I've learned as a mother and a parent and an athlete and all that is because whatever you do in life, people are going to judge. Whatever, whether you're a parent or what you're
Hmm.
always going to be judged, either positive and negative and neutral. But as a parent, yeah, you just learn that it's just you make everyone's life is so different. Everyone's needs are so different. Everyone's desires are so different, and really being able to just know what's right for you and your family at that time and be able to live with the choices that you make, right? They're your choices. You have to live with the consequences or the positives of those choices. And I think that's such a important thing that I've learned. You know, I'm happy to share I'm happy to share all of my experiences and good and bad and all of that, as long as people realize they're just my experiences and they can give you insight. And I've learned a lot from other people sharing theirs, but by no means is it the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. It's just what I do, right? And it's been such a uh, an amazing journey. And I know Chris Housen I know she and other athletes would remember that I would go to races before I had kids and just stare at babies and be like, I want a baby. It's like all I could think about, but I'm like, I also want to be a world champion and everything, right? So I've been so grateful that I've had healthy babies, and I've been, healthy in my recoveries. Also, everyone recovers at such different speeds and levels and need different things. Like I said before, I need very little comfort in life. I really don't need much. So I'm willing to suffer a bit for other things. Like we do a lot. I do a lot of adventures with my kids. Every day we do an adventure, and often, you know, behind closed doors, there's a lot of screaming to get everyone out. But we get out there, and it's always worth it to me. And they always have fun, and it's to me that stress and that chaos and that kind of hell time is, I know that it's going to pass and it's going to be amazing. And you know, I love doing adventures with them too, because I'm like carrying bikes and carrying kids and pushing up hills, or paddling, towing two paddle boards or whatever it is. And it's like type 2 fun. It's not that fun, but it is fun because we're out doing crazy things. And I feel like that's kept me strong as an athlete as well. Is through the whole time, they're 5.5 and 3.5 now, and I just love, pushing myself with them. And so I've found such creative ways to, you know, get my fix of a workout in a very non-conforming way, but it does the job done, and I'm with my kids and we're outside and we're all enjoying it. And so I think that's been the key for me. Um, I'm also a teacher, and so there's a lot of juggling for time. And
Hmm.
um, I this year is funny. My kids are in a lot of programs, and I would be like, okay, I have to drop, ice off to gymnastics after work. I have 45 minutes. What can you do 45 minutes? So I'd figure out a running route and I just go for a run. And instead, I was like, I'm not going to sit in my car or whatever it is that people. And now we sit in the car because we can't watch. But I'm not that parent that can just sit there and watch. And so I figured out little ways to incorporate, my activities. By no means do I train properly. I have no heart rate monitor. I have no GPS. I wake up in the morning and I figure out what we need to do. And I bike to work. Sometimes when I'm working, I'm a PE teacher. I'm like, oh, I would love to do some push-ups. So we all do push-ups together. I just like incorporate it that way. And one of the hardest things for me has been to really get on the water and SUP for me, because it's one of the things that takes the most time. I'm lucky I can walk my board down. We're like a 7-minute walk to the water. I jump on and I can paddle and come back. So I don't have like the loading and the driving and all of that. So that's been like really, really great. But it's not like running where you can run out the door and you're exercising. So that's been a struggle to get my on water time for me. We do a lot of family stand-up paddleboarding. So I've really kind of focused on all of that cross training, or I don't really train, but like cross activities to keep me fit as I can be, just in case there's a world championship I can head to and see how I can do. So it's still there in my heart. I would still like to do a couple of races. I've enjoyed. Again, I don't have the science. I can't help anyone with nutrition or the science of post-kid racing. I just really, I wing it. I go with a lot with feeling. I'm a feeling kind of person. If I, again, that London race, was it 2 years ago or whatever, that APP race where I was leading, and then Seychelles caught me at the end there. I felt really good the whole race. I was really listening to my body, and it could have gone either way, that ending. My Japan race, no, I totally bailed, and that was bad strategy on my part. But I'm very good, I feel like, at feeling my feels of my body. And so I can judge pretty good. I was a little bit off post, like in between kids and post kids. I thought I had a lot of energy, but then you forget that you don't sleep, you don't eat as much and all that. And it kind of, I'd feel so strong, and then I would just fade. And I was like, oh, what happened? But being a mom really is what happened, and I was trying to figure that stuff out. And because I don't wear a heart rate monitor or any of that stuff, it's kind of sometimes it tricks me out. But
I think there's such good lessons, like just by getting equipment and having the board that's, people just, nothing against all of that about exactly the width and like having the right watch and all of that. But you have the heart, the mind. I mean, athletes at the top, it's, yes, you're fit and you're an amazing athlete, but it takes a combination of things. And there's so much that is internal and that drive. And you talk about type 2 fun. We just did a cool crossing event just with my training group, and Morgan Hoistry, who remember was one of our escort boats. But she's so funny. She talks about that voice in your head, the negative one, that comes in, and how you talk to that and how you get rid of that, and just how important that is, and how many people do let that get to them. And that does make a huge difference. I sure certainly hope that we're going to see you more on the water. I know it's a huge challenge. I hope those opportunities do present themselves. Let's talk a little bit about, and again, you are an expert SUP racer, but also you have a family. So maybe in terms of equipment, like what do you use when you take the kids out? And I know, but definitely give a shout out to Sonova and Warner and, and other companies that have helped you along the way, if you like, do you use inflatables too with the kids?
So, I actually, my life these days, inflatables are 90% of my life. It's just for us, often when we're going places, we camp a lot, and we do a lot of the family, like road trips and camping and stuff like that. And because we have so much equipment, because we usually have a canoe and bikes, all the stuff, it's inflatables that are the thing that is easiest to bring with us. Because a canoe, I can't put a hardboard with my canoe on the roof, so I have to bring an inflatable. Or if you're doing a really long road trip, it's just nice. And with kids, I'm not so worried for them to like put a hole in it, or it's softer for them to be on it. it's like a little dock sometimes. I know, I just find it,
Yeah.
picnics on it. It's so multi-purpose.
Hmm.
I'm a big fan, a big fan. If there's any board company out there, I would help you with family inflatables because it's really what we use all the time. And I still have some inflatables from SIC, and I really love them. And we have one that's 14 feet long, and it's the thing that I think it's the board that we have used the most. It's 14 by 28,
Hmm.
and it has gone everywhere with us, and we put our whole family on it. So sometimes when we only bring one, it's the one we bring. Um, so the SIC inflatables are something that we use daily on the daily. Uh, I as a hardboard, I use Sonova, and that's my race board, and it's great, and I love it. Harder for have kids join me because they're narrow and they're tippy and they're hard, and
Hmm.
there's not much padding. Because the kids they love. Um, uh, well, now my kids, my little 3.5-year-old refuses for me to go on the board with her, so he's like, "Ah, I'll paddle that myself." Um, so we also got a red paddle, a surf one, just in case we ever want to go on a trip. So it's
Nine.
the surfing. It's
Hmm.
red paddle inflatable. So that's her inflatable paddle for her. Tav has actually a little hardboard. It's like a foam. It's the old Tahoe. The blue.
Oh,
You
yeah.
remember the little Tahoe Groms?
Yes,
They
they had
don't
a
make
ground
them
board. Yeah.
anymore, but it's handed down from other families, and he loves that little board. But it's harder for us to bring on trips because it's a hard
Hmm.
foam board. But often I'm seen with a chariot and a 14-foot inflatable, a 9-foot inflatable, and a 9-foot hardboard walking down to the lake with the two kids kind of half on there, whatever they're doing. So I would say as a family, the inflatables have been a godsend to us. We have cut down some Werner paddles to make little kid paddles out of them. I've had friends make me paddles.
Yeah,
And
so you still have to make them for small children, right?
I mean,
At what point?
there's adjustable ones, but our kids are so little that
Yeah,
we have to. The adjustable kid paddles are too
too
big.
big. Yeah.
Yeah, so we made very slow growing humans. They are tiny.
No, but somebody
So
needs to make tiny ones and not
yeah,
assume, not make the
tiny light
assumption.
ones,
Yeah,
tiny light. So we have
super light. Yeah.
a friend who has made us a couple, and we also use they use those as their canoe paddles as well. So it's been really fun. We bring a paddle board. Um, Actually, I'm kind of looking into those compact red inflatables because
Yeah.
we go canoeing a lot, and it'd be fun to be able to put that in the canoe.
Hmm.
Um, so there's lots of different sup boards, but I
Yeah.
can't speak enough about inflatables. I think they're just genius for families and kids. And the trouble is you could have so many because there's sometimes you want everybody on one, and sometimes everybody wants their
Yeah.
own. And you're like,
Yeah. Yep.
so that's the tricky part. What's easy for us is most of the time we're on a lake, so it's
Hmm.
we're not. I mean, we might have 21 bikes as a family because we do lots of biking, but for paddling, where we don't have the variety that you would have in California with the surfing and downrunning and ocean. So you want all those different boards.
Yeah. But boy, you have a variety of equipment though, that's for
We
sure.
do,
From
yeah.
yeah.
And I
Especially
mean,
with all the seasonal changes and all too,
yeah, I was gonna
having
say
your winter stuff too.
one thing that I find has been amazing. Living in Canada and really having the four seasons is cross country skiing has really been a passion of mine as well. It's again something you can kind of do with kids again, and so it's nice you have that mix, and it really feels like a really great winter sport that uses similar muscles to stand up paddleboarding and similar types of people who enjoy both,
Hmm.
especially with distance paddleboarding. It's been amazing. So I feel that that's really kept me strong um, through the winter. Our lake doesn't fully freeze, so I am still able to paddle a little bit, but um,
I can
winter.
see you. You're hardcore. You would go out there and break ice to get across.
Yeah. I do love the winter sports, so it's hard for me sometimes to choose. But but yeah, and our, already Ista has been begging me to go paddleboarding. Um, the water's still a little bit cold for us up here, so if she fell in, it wouldn't be great. But I've taken her a little bit with me, but she really is trying to push me off. So you're gonna see a little, probably a very strong female coming up in the race.
It's love. Can't wait to see her in the races when she's a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fun. Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it's been fun to um, have them part of, COVID has put a little bit of a damper on everything, life, but especially racing and events and kind of that part of it. It's been always fun. And there's so many people, more people with kids that are racers. It's very exciting. It's an exciting time in our community internationally, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's what
yeah,
we're hoping because actually the numbers in outdoor activities of all kinds just skyrocketed once we got through that first part and people realized they kind of discovered the outside. I live near mountain bike trails and hiking trails, and I've never seen so many people. But they sold out of paddle boards and
yep,
canoes and camping equipment and bicycles and such. So now that we have this active community, hopefully we can help them learn the ropes in terms of safety and environmentalism and those kinds of things for those that are new to it. But hopefully you can move some into things like racing, because if they
yep,
do, if that they discover the water and a love of paddling, hopefully they can find community like we have, and the excitement of racing, and just that nice combination like you talked about before. I think you put it very well, of things. Yeah, so I think I'm feeling positive about the future,
yeah,
and your future too. There are seasons of life. You're very busy, and of course there are their activities. I love how you have been able to bring them places. I hope that continues. I don't know if maybe there's places you might get to with them. I know there's difference, of course, in cost and things like that. But you have a great community in British Columbia, in Canada. Pretty shut down right now, but I know there's a big Pacific Northwest when the borders are open again.
yeah.
Lots of races in Washington, Oregon, and that community comes your direction too. So hopefully that will be part of the not so far future, and that you can do some of that at least. If not, get to. I would love to see you at. I don't believe there's going to be an ISA this year, from what I've heard, but ICF is having one. It
Yeah,
is way on the other side of the world in
it is.
Hungary.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I know you have some really enthusiastic Canadians, that
yeah,
are Tomas and yeah,
yeah. No,
Maddie, who just moved that direction.
a lot of, yeah, stoke for sure in Canada. Canada's, it's a funny country because we're so spread out. Like, there's so many people across, but it's exciting because I think it's growing all over Canada, and there's definitely people out east really pushing it, and there's people out west pushing it, and I'm sure there's gonna be people in the middle pushing it. So it's really great. I really hope I can make it to something at some point. I'm sure
Well,
we'll be in California when we can drive across that border at
yeah,
some
but
point.
thank you also for serving. I think you hit, I mean, we're definitely at this point, and I'm involved in the US like you are in Canada, of trying to connect it all and
Yeah,
getting it organized. And you serve on the board of Surf Canada,
yeah,
right? So that's I under the ISA.
yeah.
And then Paddle Canada, I assume that's under ICF, seems very active in
So Paddle
SUP, right?
Canada is very active in the instruction. So
Instruction side, yeah.
yeah, so Paddle Canada is, if you want to become an instructor, that would be the route you would take in Canada.
Got it.
Would be under Paddle Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Currently in Canada, Surf Canada is more involved in the events side of paddleboarding.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind
And
of that way.
yeah, okay. And then BC SUP Cup, is that a race or a series?
It's a series that
Mm-hmm.
we had in the province, between 5 and 7 races, and you would make it to. I think we had 5 races, and you would try and make it to three, and so the top three scores would count. Uh,
Wonderful.
Obviously, last year it didn't happen, but it's been great. There's a great group of people really running it, and I help out, or as much as I can, as kind of the person who has been to a lot of races and
Yeah.
how that works. And it's been really great, and I hope we can restore it,
Right.
next summer once things are back. I think we will. I think, like you said, I think there's going to be hopefully a whole new community that maybe didn't even know anything about it and is looking for things to
Yeah.
do with their newfound skills and
Yeah.
passion. And so I think it's really, yeah, I think it might look different in a positive way. So those are, yeah, and so Ontario has a series. So we're starting to have provinces kind of create series. We're trying to connect the dots across the country. I'm actually currently chatting with a girl in Quebec who is an Olympic kayaker, and she is getting, trying to connect the dots, and we're trying to kind of make it all work from Quebec to even the East Coast and British
Mm-hmm.
Columbia. So it's very exciting, and
Yeah.
I think where eventually hopefully I can kind of just be part of that group that finds that new group of paddlers, and being a mom, that's another thing that's so exciting, is you kind of have that even more, because I'm a teacher, so I've always had that youth excitement, but
Mm-hmm.
even more so now, you just really, my focus would be the really young kids. And it's kind of like the paddle academy. Jamie and Mike, what you guys started over there, and Mike, what you're still doing, it's like so amazing to have kids,
Yeah.
something that is like, have stand-up paddleboard be their first sport, in a way that you feel like, those other sports that have been around forever and I would love for that to be part of, like, have that in Canada,
Yeah.
where, a 6-year-old's like, I want to be a stand-up paddleboarder, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more difficult here. There's a little bit more hoops and a lot less funding. um, so
Well,
for us
yes,
in
yes and no.
Canada,
It depends. Like we don't have
yeah,
any national organization of sport the way most governments do in the US too. So
I'm always
yeah,
jealous of
that's
France.
stuff's like,
I
yeah.
feel like France has it all,
I know.
like pinned
Where
down
they bring the
properly.
whole team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, but so it's exciting times, and I think it's going to grow, and the youth really excites me, and there's a way I
Yeah.
can, once I get, stable in my teaching career, like, looks like I'm back in no, back in I used to be a high school teacher, and now I'm an elementary school teacher. So,
Hmm.
but in a way that's exciting, because those are the kids you want to grab. So, um,
There you go. I love it.
yeah, so
Well, and we'll be in communication because as Canada and US, eventually, maybe there'll be those regional finals, maybe
yeah,
nationals, and then we can have our North American big event, with
yes.
everybody together
Well,
as we,
Candace started
yeah.
that. Like, I think what Candace did, her, what was that? The Fiesta, SUP Fiesta. I think that
Oh,
was
wasn't that
brilliant.
wonderful for youth?
Like, I think
Yeah.
that to me was so exciting to, I I thought that was amazing
Yes.
what she did.
Yeah.
So I hope that stuff like that
Yeah,
comes back.
Anthony Vela, and he still cares about youth, even
Yeah,
though he has adult training clubs.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, Anthony, and yeah, they were doing it
Hmm.
together. So I think that's all amazing, and I think there's lots of good people that are motivated, right? And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Now we just have to link it all together, which I think is wonderful.
yeah. We all
Yes.
need more time. I think
Yeah.
more hours in the day.
Well, again, some of the questions I ask people usually are a little tough again because you're pretty focused on the kids and everything as you should be in life, and it's very busy. But are there places you haven't paddled yet,
Oh,
or new types of paddling you haven't tried yet? I don't know if you are great at jumping into things and learning them, but we've got the foil and the wing and
yeah. So, I have a Sonova foil board. I don't have a wing
ah,
yet, but it is, so I have one step closer. I have a friend that I lent the board to. He bought some wings. He learned how to do it. So now I'm like, hey, now you have to teach me.
now he needs to
So
come back
yeah,
and
so
teach
now
you.
you
There you
teach,
go.
lend me a wing and teach. So it's happening. I need the time, I think, for that. It's a little bit tricky for me at the moment. Like I mentioned, we just don't,
Yeah.
especially with COVID, like we just haven't had a babysitter in a year and a bit, and we have no family help. So it's a struggle for Andrew and I to, even today, there's both wanted to do something, and I was like, we can't do it.
I know. Yeah.
So it's just a struggle for us to have real time for ourselves, to do it. But I would love to learn to wing foil. That is something that, has been on my mind. I've always been curious about wind sports, so I don't know. Yes, it's on
Yes.
my radar somewhere. Maybe when I'm 50, I'll learn it, but that's okay. And then there's lots of places I would love to paddle. For some reason, in the last forever, I can't even think of, the Greek islands has been
Mm.
an area I've been very curious about, and I have I would like to kind of, I would love to do something where it's in Norway where there's like a SUP, then you ski, or like some multi-sport SUP thing really intrigues me in Norway.
Yeah.
I'm very interested and curious about. So those are two kind of really random places I would love to
No, but
go
great.
to.
Excellent examples.
And what's so fun is I have a couple other places, but I'm not sure if I want to wait till my kids are older and have it as like a family adventure and we all kind of go do it, or if it's like
Yeah.
something I
Well,
just want to do for me, or yeah.
yeah, we briefly mentioned, but we can't skip over you did the Yukon.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, that's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I mean, in your personality, you are an expedition type. You take your family on expeditions, I would call them, for
yeah.
sure, camping trips and stuff. So you're kind of grooming them to do some
Yeah. So the Yukon
first
is
ever.
probably my proudest thing I've ever done,
Wow.
in
Yeah.
that Tav was 6 months old. So I the whole time was not sure that it was even possible, to be honest. I had the great pleasure of being able to breastfeed my children, which is awesome. And so the whole time, from sign up to when it was posted, knowing I felt like I should be the first group, because I paddled the Yukon River back in 2011 because they wouldn't let me race it, so I just did it. So I felt like I had to be part of that first group because I had kind of done it and I
It was
wasn't
official. Yeah.
part of the official race, but I the whole time knew that there's a good chance it just wouldn't happen just because of life.
Right. With
So we
your
drove
life.
up.
Yeah.
We drove up. Andrew was my hero. He actually had hurt his shoulder because he loves to mountain bike and was mountain biking like the day before and
Oh
kind
no.
of half dislocated his shoulder. And
Ah.
like, how am I gonna look after this kid while you're like
And
racing and
drove
drive for
you with,
7 hours to like the checkpoints? And I was like, I don't know, like, can I do it? And he's like, well, we'll see. Like, because there's one spot, CarMax, where you have to stop for 7 hours and you get to see people. And I was like, well, let me get to that point, and if it doesn't work, I'll just stop. And so there's like a lot of,
what ifs kind
what
of.
ifs,
Yeah.
and you never
Yeah.
really know. And
Variables.
I had to figure out, because I was still breastfeeding. For me, I had to figure out for me how to release my milk, because it was a 60-hour race. So Andrew helped me figure out how to like attach a breast pump, and I had a fanny pack,
Wow.
put a hole in my sports bra, and so I had to, would set it all up and figured out how to make it like really work and pump, and so then I could pump and I could keep paddling essentially. And then I would dump my milk in the river, and then put it on the other side. And I think I did it about 8 times throughout the race just to release me. Um,
Okay, that is a first. I don't
yeah,
think I've talked to anybody who's figured that out.
yeah. So
It
because
can
the
be
Yukon
done.
is so low. I just remember once I was trying to do it when no one else would see me, so it wouldn't be, what is this crazy person doing? But there's at the Yukon you have stand-up paddleboarders, canoers, kayakers, and you have what are they called? The six-man canoes. The I don't
Outrigger, yeah.
no, they weren't
Or
outriggers. They were like canoe, like war canoes.
okay. Oh, cool.
And I remember once a team of six female in the canoe came past me, and I was pumping, and they were just like, "Oh my god, this is unbelievable!" So I didn't do it to prove anything. I just really wanted to do the race, and I had a 6 month old, and I didn't know what else to do. So we kind of just made it work. I did okay. I finished. Managed to be the first female. Managed to be pretty close to the guys, but I was by myself the whole time, so I got pretty loopy, for sure. But it was very exciting because we all survived. We all made
Yeah.
it. I remember at the checkpoint, another point, like putting tab on my boob, and I was like, suck. And he got so hard that he came off and he just vomited all over me, and I was just like, oh my god, what did happen? So it was just a really funny, delirious 60 hours of my life, but one of my proudest. And, you know, again, couldn't Nikki Reckman from Werner up here, she and Andrew were my support crew. She was more of my support crew. Andrew was my support crew in helping take care of our kid. And it was just
Yeah.
amazing. And it's amazing what you can do, right? Like
Yeah.
you can kind of do anything. You can. It's not always easy.
Yeah.
It's not always fun. But if there's anything I can share, I've not done one thing that it wasn't worth it, right? Like it always felt right to me, and it always kind of came out, and I was like, well, that was great. You know, it was worth all the. Maybe Andrew would say something different. I don't know. And so all the kind of stress and toughness and hardness for me, I love it. It's always worth it. It's always worth the efforts. So it might not be for other people. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it, and I really like challenging myself in all ways. So I think there's more and more super moms out there that are athletes. I mean, there's super moms. Every mom is a super mom, but in the
Hmm.
athlete world, I feel like it is becoming more maybe normal. I'm
Hmm.
starting to see, I don't know, it's because I'm a mom, but I definitely see more amazing females, mothers getting out there and
Well, and
having
we
a
get to
great support.
see more glimpses in their lives, like you were talking about Instagram as a place. And
Yeah,
I follow some of these like former Olympians who are showing what they look like after they have a baby. They're normalizing a lot of the things that
yeah,
people are like, you have to stay in, you know, I don't know, the old school ideas of staying
yeah,
inside, or it must be this way, or, you know, and again, that judgment. And you are so non-judgmental, and yet you have done these amazing things that people, so impressed with the life you guys have built. Great to have it a supportive partner like Andrew, which, you know, it takes a village in all kinds of
it
different
does.
ways.
Yeah,
But you yourself, I mean, what you have done, again, you should be just so proud. And those darling children who are getting an amazing life. And again,
yeah,
everybody's is different. And moms out there, don't feel like you have to do this. Do
yeah,
what's right for you to be
yeah,
a super mom. But
yeah.
don't, it's just kind of true in life. Like we always let, you know, naysayers and obstacles get in our way and we talk ourselves out of things. Oh, Sup Vancouver says Canada is proud of you. There have been
Yeah,
quite a few Canadian flags that have
yeah,
gone by in the comments and such.
yeah,
We're all proud of you. We, even if we aren't Canadian, but yes, you do have
yeah,
just such a great whole ohana up there in Canada,
yes,
all over the place, in British Columbia, especially, just because I know more of you, I think, because
yeah,
it's West Coast. Yeah.
yeah,
All
but
kinds of those little
yeah,
hearts going up.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I really think people can do whatever they want, and you know, and I'm not saying it's ever easy. It's usually not. Usually, you know, my mom used to always tell me nothing. What did she say? Life isn't fair, or life is tough, and then you die, or I don't know what she said. But, like, you know, it's hard, but it's you know, it's your passions, right? And
Yeah.
there's some
Well,
things that, you know, for me,
well, you're instilling things that you know, again, the former teacher in me, you know,
yeah,
some of the things I think sometimes are missed are things like delayed gratification, hard work to get to something,
yeah,
not loving to get to a goal that you're proud of. Sometimes the steps along the way aren't fun.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's just, those are such important lessons. Like
yeah,
everything isn't all, you know, easy all the time. And that can be okay, though. It can make you a stronger person. It can lead you to places, you know, in life and adventures and
yeah,
things that you never thought you could do or didn't even realize were out there
yeah,
by
yeah,
so good
yeah.
for you for setting an amazing example for all of us, for your family. Really appreciate the time. It's almost been an hour. I can't believe
Okay,
that. I could talk to you all
sorry.
day, but it's evening. This
Yeah,
will be recorded, everyone, so thank you for those who are able to listen. But if you know somebody who'd like to follow up, it's on IGTV right away, and then it goes on to YouTube. Thank you, Lina. So
oh,
great to catch
thank
up with you. And again, I think that's, you know, I know there's mixed feelings about social media, but I love that we get to watch you raise those darling kids and the family that you are, and definitely put up replays of the amazing accomplishments that you've had in stand up, and you will have more. I have
Oh,
no doubt.
thank you. And
Joseph
thank you
Silva, thank you
everybody
for being on, and SUP
thank you for
Vancouver.
listening. Thank
Yeah.
you everybody who's helped me along the way. There's too many people. It's hard for me to name all the sponsors and all the people, but I feel like you know who you are, and you've all. I don't forget. I
Yeah.
remember you. I remember all of you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. Great community. Thanks, Supconnect, for letting us do these. Super
Yes.
fun. Take care, and hopefully the borders will open and we'll see
Yes.
you, and I get to hold your babies.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
I have grandma want a baby.
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting.
Okay.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.